শুনতেছি বল আচ্ছা আমি এক্সাম কবে আমি এক্সাম 26 তারিখে আমি পরীক্ষা আবার আমি পরীক্ষা 26 তারিখ আমি পরীক্ষা 26 তারিখ ফিজিক্স পরীক্ষা 26 তারিখ আমি ল্যাব পড়তে আমি ল্যাব আমি ক্লাস টেস্ট নেই ক্লাস টেস্ট ও ক্লাস টেস্ট নিব না আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে প্যারা কামাই রাখতে ভাই বাসায় যাচ্ছে ভাই আগে আমাকে খুব ভালো লাগতেছিল
Dawid bhai, Dawid bhai. Kalau bulan satu masih ada orang yang dia, lalu bagaimana aku mau masuk bayar school sekarang? Então você estava falando, bom, que nem eu tô. Que eu vou fazer parte com ele. Então, eu vou falar. Ele também
কি অনলাইনে থাকতে বসে
দুইটা দুইয়া
ให้ชีวิตก้าวหน้าได้ทุกวันชาติ
300 บาทไม่ต้องฝากเงินยินดีต้อนรับสู่ Happy Look คาสิโนออนไลน์อันดับหนึ่งในประเทศไทยฟรีสปินแลกได้ทุกๆวันมีเกมมากมายให้คุณเล่นไม่ว่าจะเป็น300 เกมไม่ต้องฝากเงินสดออนไลน์ยินดีต้อนรับสู่ Happy Look บาคาร่าคาสิโนออนไลน์อันดับหนึ่งในประเทศไทยและอื่นๆอีกมากมายกว่า 1,000 เกมแลกได้ทุกๆวันพบกับสาวสวยดีลเลอร์มีเกมมากมายให้คุณเล่นไม่ว่าจะเป็นสล็อตเกมคาสิโนสดออนไลน์แบล็กแจ็ครูเล็ตพอร์ตมหาศาลซิกโบฝากเบิลเกมง่ายดังใจคุณออนไลน์แบงกิ้งเกมเคาน์เตอร์ธนาคารและเบิลที่โบนัสแรกเข้ากว่า 75,000 บาทแจ็คพอตมหาศาลทั้งออนไลน์แบงกิ้งผ่านเคาน์เตอร์ธนาคารและ ATM 300 บาทไม่ต้องฝากเงินรายวันรายสัปดาห์และรายเดือนคาสิโนออนไลน์อันดับหนึ่งในประเทศไทย24 ชั่วโมงฟรีวันสปินแลกได้ทุกๆเล่นเลยตอนนี้กับคาสิโนออนไลน์ให้คุณเล่นไม่ว่าจะเป็นสล็อตเกมและคาสิโนสดออนไลน์เล่นตอนนี้เลยสิครับบาคาร่าซิกโบเทเบิลเกมและอื่นๆอีกมากมายกว่า 1,000 เกมพบกับสาวสวยดีลเลอร์สุดเซ็กซี่ฟรีโบนัสแรกเข้ากว่า 75,000 บาทแจ็คพอตมหาศาลฝากถอนเงินง่ายดังใจคุณทางออนไลน์แบงกิ้งผ่านเคาน์เตอร์ธนาคารและ ATM รับเลยโบนัสรายวันรายสัปดาห์และรายเดือน
overs, yeah.
5 overs.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Lords for this T20 Blast fixture between Middlesex and Hampshire. BBC Radio London and BBC Radio Solent live at the home of cricket and the former home of Kevin James. His home is where the heart is. Are you at home, Kevin James? Good evening.
Well, if anybody from the Aegeus Bowl is listening, of course, the Aegeus Bowl is my first home. Otherwise, if they're not, then, of course, this is really my spiritual home. Always love coming here. Here for the 50-over final early in the season, of course, can never get enough of it. And as I've often said, Kev, whenever you give up the Middlesex job, I'm coming in right behind you.
Well, it's more I don't want to give up, it's when I'm sacked, so keep a close eye out, I'd say. News of the toss is that Hampshire have won it here this evening. They've elected to bowl first. Your commentary team tonight, Kevin James, Emily Windsor and myself, Kevin Hand. It's a lovely sunny evening. It's the last of Middlesex's Lords home matches. They're at Uxbridge on Saturday against Sussex, and then away to Hampshire and to Somerset in the final two games. So, yeah, another near packed house tonight. I couldn't confidently say this one's going to be the fourth consecutive Lords T20 that fills 28,000, but it's not going to be far off, and the atmosphere's pretty lively already. News of the team for Middlesex. A pretty big change, really, with Mujeeb not being available now for Middlesex in the Blast. They've gone with Stirling, Malan, Eskinazi, Morgan. Mohammad Hafeez will be at 5. John Simpson, the wicketkeeper, at 6. Then Toby, Roland-Jones, Tom Helm, Nathan Sowter, the solitary recognised spinner, Stephen Finn, and Tom Barber, the left-arm quick. The Hampshire team, Kevin James?
They are. Rilee Rossouw back after being ill last week. He played the championship game, though. James Vince, Sam Northeast, Liam Dawson, Chris Morris, James Fuller, Lewis McManus, Ian Holland, and Tabrayas Shamsi, the South African left-arm Chinaman bowler, playing the first of his 4 matches, Chris Wood, and Kyle Abbott.
Former Middlesex man, of course, Kyle Abbott,
yes,
who was a good friend in the commentary box to us, and I know he is as well to you.
Yeah.
JMO, here is Chris Wood down below us. He will be left arm over the wicket to bowl to Paul Stirling. So no AB de Villiers, but he will be back for the game at the Aegeus Bowl next Thursday, which we're all looking forward to seeing him again. But Mohammad Hafeez in, so that'll be one quite some batting lineup for next week,
isn't it?
with Hafeez and de Villiers. But the lacking Mujeeb in those power play overs is going to be big, because he's played a big part for Middlesex in how well they've gone this year. It's a huge change for them. Here is Wood. He's left arm over with a slip in place. He bowls to Stirling, who drops a quick single into the offside, and Middlesex off the mark first ball. So Dawid Malan, the Middlesex captain, will have strike.
Well, you guys are sitting pretty in this tournament so far. 10 matches played, in third place with 13 points. Of course, 4 to do. Hampshire are a little bit out of the top 4. They're the ones that qualify for the quarterfinals. Hampshire 4 points off Gloucestershire in 4th. Hampshire sits 6th, 8 points from 10. They've taken 1 point from a possible 8, and that was a rained off game. Not good. Not good.
This is a real turnaround, isn't it? Because usually Middlesex turn up, get battered by Hampshire, Hampshire fly, Middlesex are down the bottom. These things are cyclical. They're anything for Middlesex. It's just been a 10-year cycle. So.
You're normally useless at this.
Yeah.
You think, well, Middlesex will be one of the sort of 5 teams that won't qualify, but you guys have stuffed everybody up.
Yeah, it's been a real turnaround by Stuart Law. As here is Wood. He's in bowls, and Malan has a little waft at that one, looking to drive. Through it goes to the keeper. There's no run. I say Stuart Law has. AB de Villiers was a huge part. He won 3 of the 5 matches he played for Middlesex. He really did. He lit up 28,000 here against Essex one night, an incredible display of hitting. The likes of which are Lords I don't really remember seeing. Maybe Chiron Pollard for Somerset a few years ago. Against Sean Udall, actually. Hit Sean onto the roof of the pavilion. As here's Wood bowls, and this ball's pushed away into the offside by Malan, and there is no run. But the de Villiers masterclass.
Yeah, Sean Udall is on the ground.
Is he?
He's in my brother's box. Down there, the box is in the sort of corner-ish.
Have they got the sound turned up on the telly?
I don't know, but he's there. I spoke to him earlier.
Right, which box? Can we get him to give us a wave?
It's above National League 1992.
Were you playing then?
What, when Sean played?
National League 1992. Here's drive through the covers for 4 from Malan, just slightly over pitch with a bit of whip from Wood, and put away by Malan. 5 without loss in the opening over Middlesex.
Somebody's just waved that. Oh no, that's the 4 runs. I was playing in 92, and in fact, just as so happens, right on cue, I played in the final.
There you go, you see.
It was almost like we worked that.
And you say I don't do my research.
No, 92 final, Kent here.
Very good. How'd you go?
It went into the second day we won.
How'd you go?
I went for not very many and got a wicket.
Nice. Here's Wood, he's in. Bowls, Malan looks to run this one. Just seems to nip back into him, that one, with the slope, of course, from the nursery end, Wood. Possibly an off-cutter. Through to the keeper it goes.
Now, I don't know if I mentioned this to you before. You were a very busy man before we came on.
Yes.
Doing this and that and what have you. But anyway, I think I might have mentioned to you, but anyway, for the benefit of everybody else, this is the same wicket that Hampshire played the 50-over final on against Somerset here early in the season. Hampshire lost that one, of course. I'm very much hoping for a different result here tonight on that same surface.
Wood moves in, bowls, and Malan runs this one back at a point. Quick single taken as the fielding is done there by Abbott. Low to his right-hand side. Oh, look, we've got a scoreboard up there. I don't think we've got replays tonight, but we do have a scoreboard, because the big scoreboard in front of us does quite often change to a replay screen. So you might have to look at that screen, JMO, for the replays, and this screen for the scores. Australia have collapsed a little bit. 5 down now.
Yeah, saw Archer get David Warner out caught behind about 20 minutes ago. We like to hear that. That's a good ball as well. So yes, a very important evening for Hampshire. Maybe not so much for Middlesex. They've done well, as you mentioned. De Villiers averaging 84 in this tournament. Looking forward to seeing him at the GS Bowl next week, although not for too long. I don't mind him picking a couple of boundaries.
Well, if you're out of it, you may as well just sit back and enjoy the De Villiers masterclass.
If we're out of it, but I mean, there's a good chance that we will. Malan's averaging well in this tournament, isn't he? 52.
He's averaging well this season. He's had an excellent season, Dawid Malan. He really has, and. If somebody did go down for England with the bat, then really they could do a lot worse than go back to Malan. Yeah. Here's Abbott from the pavilion end. He'll be right arm around the wicket, sprinting down that slope to Dawid Malan, who's just getting the sight screen, adjusted up. There's a third man and deep square in an orthodox T20 power play field, mid-off, mid-on. Cover, points, backward points. Short third man, mid-wicket I've missed in there as well. As here's Abbott with the shadow cast to his right, cast to the left is the shadow of the Warner stand as he moves in, bowls, and Malan runs him fine. Third man's got a little bit of a chase here, Wood, which he will win, and they have picked up a single, so 7 without loss. Malan's on to 6.
Yeah, it should be a good pitch. The 50-over pitch here, actually, if I remember rightly, wasn't actually a bad pitch at all. Hampshire just... Yeah, you just always got the feeling that the day was always going to belong to Somerset. It wasn't a huge scoring game, actually. Hampshire actually threw James Fuller, half-century, not out towards the end, only sort of got about 230, 240. It was never enough. It was a good pitch. Could be some runs here this evening. Abbott is setting off right arm over the wicket to Paul Stirling. Paul Stirling, actually, perhaps, is the man who needs to come to the party a little bit for Middlesex. He has been the absolute rock of Middlesex limited overs cricket for so many years. A little bit of a quieter season this year for Stirling, as Abbott runs in to bowl to him, and Stirling pushes forward defensively, and there is no run. Yeah, only averaging 20. Yep. 123 runs. Strike rate. 118, which I guess in a way is... What's happened to Dan Lincoln? I was looking forward to seeing him. Dan Lincoln. Mohammad Hafeez. Well, he's one of BBC Radio Solent's. No, would that be your patch, Bogner Regis? Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? No, it's BBC Sussex. Ah. Yeah, out the way, that one. Back and beyond. Backwater. Here's Abbott, he's in from the pavilion end, and this is run back at a point by Stirling for a single. Stirling doubling his tally. 8 without loss midway through the second over here on BBC Radio London and BBC Radio Solent. The other huge news from here, about 35 minutes before the scheduled start of play, was that the toss took place. And it surprised everybody, including us here in the box, because we could hear nothing of it. And the reason was that it surprised the camera people here as well as the stadium announcer, which is Chris Temple. The Radio Solent listeners will recognise that name. And it surprised him as well. So the toss was just conducted in silence 5 minutes earlier than it should have been. Abbott around the wicket, bowls, and this is short down the leg side. Abbott's gone up looking for
a strangle. The umpire is saying nothing, including not a wide down the leg side, so it must have just flicked the hip guard perhaps with the backside of Malan on the way through down the leg side.
Great carry.
Yes.
Great carry. I said it was a good wicket. It's coming on nicely.
Well, it's wonderful pace as well, isn't it?
Spoke to Cole McDermott, the groundsman, of course, formerly of the GS Bowl. Saw him just as I was. It was almost like he was waiting to greet me. I came in the North Gate. As soon as I got through and had my bag checked, there he was, waiting for my bag to be checked so we could have a chat. Said it'd be a good wicket tonight. Same wicket as the 50 over. Bit of grass.
Abbott's right arm round. Malan runs him back with a point. Nice shot. Might even get a couple here. Third man's got to go around, and they do. Big old boundary away to our left. That's a fair pick-up to old Father Time tonight, isn't it? A.B. de Villiers was peppering that stand that night against Essex. But it's the grandstand tonight where they're going to have to keep their eyes peeled. So, one job Temple. Yes. Missed his one job tonight.
Yeah, he didn't even do that right. I know. In fact, I haven't texted him that. There's a good comeback to it. I just said something like, "Oh, that's a shame," but I think it warrants a follow-up.
Yeah, I think so. Here's Abbott to Malan, who swings hard into the onside. That's a pretty good pickup. He hasn't got all of it, but he's got enough, and it's going to be 4 through mid-wicket. Stepping across to the off stump and dragging the ball with a flat bat, but pretty much most things that Malan does, he does elegantly, and even that, it didn't look too agricultural, did it? There was some control and finesse to it. Another 4, and Middlesex are 14 without loss at the end of the second. Malan has 12, Stirling has 2.
Yeah, I wonder what's a good score here tonight. Obviously, how many games have you played here so far?
This is the 4th.
Right.
It does vary so much at Lords from the top end of the square to the bottom end of the square, but the scores this year have been bigger. I mean, 140, 150 over the years has usually been quite a good score at Lords.
Yeah.
Mainly as well because the ground is usually always pretty big, i.e. you don't often have the boundary ropes in. We do down below us in front of the Edrich and the Tavern where the pyrotechnics are lined up, so it's in slightly down there. It's a little bit like Trent Bridge actually with that corner tonight where you've got, what is it now? It's extra cover, isn't it, for Malan, or wide long off.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit tighter, but overall it's usually a pretty big playing surface. As Morris is right arm over the wicket from the nursery end, he bowls to Stirling, who drives down the ground, and mid-on has done wonderfully well to catch hold of that. It's Wood coming around, the man that Morris has replaced at the nursery end. He got an outstretched left hand to it, and it was pretty tight, wasn't it? He timed his run and his dive there pretty well, because if it did get past him, even though it wasn't as cleanly struck as a lot of Stirling shots, you still fancy if that had got past the left hand, it would have been 4.
Yeah. Shot, beautiful piece of fielding. I'm not sure too many. I always get the feeling when I come here and at the Oval, there aren't too many people actually watching that. Well, they're doing other things.
We're going to go back to that A.B. de Villiers Essex night, because that was the night when I realised, you know what? If Middlesex play well, they watch.
Yeah.
Which actually says something about those that come here to Lords. As here is Morris in bowls. Malan drags this one into the onside again, going for a pickup shot. Doesn't really get hold of this one at all, and it trickles along the floor wide of mid-on for a single. 16 without loss. I've never seen Lords so switched on to the game as it was that night. The atmosphere was incredible. I mean, they've had 28,000 here many times. Mainly, perhaps, then, because Middlesex don't go so well, but you kind of got the feeling that didn't really matter, because they still came in their droves. That night, when Middlesex did well, and all the nights that Middlesex have done well, they were all watching because they're finally seeing Middlesex win here at Lords. Here's a short one from Morris, and on the back foot, Stirling defends, inside edge, rolls down the pad into the offside.
Definitely a bit of bounce here.
Yep.
Isn't there? I know Carl McDermott, when I spoke to him before the 50 over final, he said, one thing I am looking to do here is to leave a little bit more grass on. And I think, I don't know, you've seen other games here, but for me, it actually has helped with the bounce a bit.
Yeah, I mean, poor Mick Hunt, in his final years at Lords, he was coming in for awful criticism from everybody about the pitches, including me, and I have to hold my hand up, I was one of them. There were a lot of featherbeds. As here's Morris moving in, he bowls Stirling. There we go. Good evening, Paul Stirling. A big pickup over deep mid wicket for 6 into the grandstand, and my goodness me, Kevin James, that was more just a roll of the wrist from outside of the off stump to nonchalantly flick it over the onside.
Yeah, and I think the little bit of extra pace in this wicket that you normally see here over the last few seasons, I think it's going to aid shots like that. I mean, it didn't deviate off the seam. For me, it wasn't even quite in the slot, but he's just hit it across the line. Not too much across the line.
It was an extraordinary
But I think it's that sort of wicket. I think you can play these shots on this wicket.
Stirling's on 9, and Morris goes through him with a lovely ball. Just it looked as though it shaped away with a slope beating the right-hander.
Yeah, good bowling for Chris Morris. He's He's been all right this season, Chris Morris. I think, again, it's a bit like Majid for us last year. I know he's been playing for you up until this game, but Majid last year did a good job for us, but not in a very good side. And we're not much better this year, if I'm really honest. And I think Chris Morris is a bit like that as well. But I think Chris Morris is one of those. I think he would have looked better in a better side.
Morris bowls, and this ball's played into the onside for a single by Stirling, who moves to 10. 23 for no wicket at the end of the third over here on BBC Radio London and BBC Radio Solent. Kevin James and myself, Kevin Hand on mic. Emily Windsor will be alongside us in a couple of overs' time when I head off to update the good listeners of BBC Radio London and some of the bad ones as well.
Oh, can't be many. 8 wickets in his spells so far. Average economy rate of just over 8, which isn't too bad because he does tend to sometimes bowl when the heat is on. And he's batting, averaging a 16, strike rate of 116. It's all right. But I think, as with Majid last year, I think they are better players than that. But sometimes in such a quick format,
well, the interesting thing for the overseas next year,
to make an impact.
We all get little inklings, don't we, of what's going to happen for the schedule. The best idea we've got at the moment is Friday night T20s, Sunday morning championship games. But that means a blast spread across the season. Yeah. Signing the overseas players will be really interesting because Middlesex have settled on a formula this year with De Villiers and Majid, which I'm sure they would dearly love to repeat year upon year. Here's Abbott with the fourth over. He's in, bowls to Stirling, and he's gone LBW. Steps across and Stirling's run right into poor old Kyle Abbott. He's gone down there and he's probably worn the handle of Stirling's bat on his chest. 23 for 1. He went a long way across Stirling, and at first I thought that may well have saved him with the ball angling back in down the slope, but not in the opinion of the umpire. It's an LBW for Paul Stirling, and umpire Bainton putting up the finger. So Stirling's gone for 10, LBW to Abbott, 23 for 1. I could see a lot right with that, but I could see a little bit wrong with it as well, though. The slope better than most here at Lords, and right arm over to the right-hander, as far down as he came and as far across as he went. You're creating a few angles there, aren't you?
I have to say, my eyes were fully on the umpire when that wrapped him on the pad. I thought he took a bit of a liberty. I thought that was a bit more out than not, so I think that's fair enough. I mean, I must admit, sometimes I've been given out LBW and I've wanted to fell the bowler. I haven't wanted to make it look as obvious as Stirling did there. I mean, he did clatter into him, didn't he, really? He's quite a big unit, Stirling, as well.
You don't want to run into Stirling, do you?
And I think Kyle Abbott, I mean, listen, Kyle Abbott is no problem, as you know, from 2 years ago he played for Middlesex here against Hampshire in the T20. Kyle Abbott is no problem at all. And but it was quite funny when Kyle Abbott went down. I think he stayed down just to really play up there a little bit. And I noticed the teammates going around him and trying to pull him up. And he wanted to stay down there just to have a bit of fun.
So Stephen Eskinazi at number 3, Morgan number 4, Mohammad Hafeez at 5, John Simpson at 6. And here is Eskinazi, the right-hander, facing Abbott. He's past the umpire, bowls and beats Eskinazi with a ball that perhaps kept a shade low outside the off stump, goes through to the keeper. There's no run.
So I was just looking at the scores. The last 2 years, fortunately, we've been at Lords and avoided Uxbridge and all those other outgrounds, as you know that I love. Last year, Middlesex winning by 22 runs, scored 165 in the first innings. 2 years ago, Hampshire actually chased down 136. Now, that's not a very big score either, but are you saying there's a chance that scores here higher this year, bigger than 160?
Yep. Abbott's in, bowls, and this ball's nudged back with a square on the leg side for a single for Eskinazi to get off the mark. 24 for 1.
So we could be expecting the score bigger than 160 tonight.
Yeah. The Essex game looked as though you thought, that's actually going to be pretty testing at Lords, but then they did have Aby de Villiers, I suppose, and he made short work of it. But in general, it feels like the scores are bigger this year. Perhaps that's helped, actually, again, by the fact that Middlesex are a better side this year. But they do look a very, very different team under Stuart Law in white ball cricketers. You saw in the One Day Cup as well when they got out of the group stage in that. Abbott comes in, bowls, and this ball short, up in the air it goes from Malan. It's safe though, out to deep square for a single, and 25 for 1 as Malan moves to 14. Eskinazi back onto strike.
And of course, helping him for the T20 tournament is a certain Dimmy Mascarenhas.
Yes.
Former Hampshire all-rounder.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to have a chat with him yet.
Have you not? Good lad.
I mean, it's good setup now, isn't it? Yeah, it's Nick Pothas, his assistant.
Yeah.
And specialist fielding coach.
Which he's done internationally, isn't he?
Yeah. So it's a really, really good setup at the moment at Middlesex. This is Abbott, he's in, bowls, and Eskinazi comes down the track, gets a thick edge over short third man for 4. He moves to 5 from 3, and Middlesex are 29 for 1 in the 4th.
Oh dear, that could have gone anywhere. Split the field between Sam North East on the 45, and we haven't mentioned his name yet, but Tabray's Shamsi making his Hampshire debut this evening, fielding a short third man. Looking forward to seeing him bowl. I watched him bowl on the sidelines, on the side of the square, down the hill earlier. There was quite a session going on between him and Mushtaq Ahmed, who's still around, coaching the spin bowlers at Hampshire. So looking forward to that, and he looked interesting. Played into the ground, fielded by Lewis McManus, running up towards the stumps on the leg side. And that is a dot ball to end the over. That is 29 without loss. 6 runs off it from Carl Abbott. 4 overs gone. 2 overs left of the power play here at Lord's. 29 for 1 now. Middlesex. Paul Stirling, LBW to Abbott for 10. The 1 wicket taken so far. Chris Wood is coming into the attack, bowling from our commentary end, the nursery end. Media centre end, looking straight down the ground towards that famous old pavilion. Never get tired of that view. And the sunshine still quite fairly high in the sky, just to our right now, just a few metres above the stand. Here's Chris Wood, then left arm over, bowling to the left-hander Dawid Malan. Bowls, and Malan hits him over high over his head. Super shot that, out in the middle of the bat, and that's gone for 4 just below us. 33 for 1, and Malan moves on to 18. Lovely strike there from the left-hander. Kevin Hand has just disappeared for the moment. He'll be back in a moment. It's going to warrant a change in the field. Of course, during the power play, Hampshire can only have 2 players outside of the 30-yard circle. Amazingly enough, nobody has gone back straight. They have 2 men on the leg side now out, at deep square leg and at deep mid-wicket. There was a deep cover. He's come up on the 30-yard circle. Here's Wood, and that's dabbed down to short third man. They'll pick up a single. Not fielded cleanly by Abbott, fortunately. Gone straight to the fielder at point. Otherwise, they might have come back for 2. 34 for 1. Again, a bit of bounce. It's good to see. That won't mind. That won't bother too many of the Hampshire batsmen. They'll like to see this bit of pace in the wicket. For me, it looks like there's a bit more pace in this than there was for the 50 over final. Again, there's a conference between Vince at mid-off and Wood, making sure they get the field right. Eskinazi to face the next delivery. Wood runs away from us. Length ball. Eskinazi pushes it on the leg side, thinks about a single, comes down a few yards. In comes Chris Morris. Underarms the ball back to Lewis McManus, and there is no run. Still sunshine here. It's been a glorious day here in the capital. We arrived here sort of early afternoon. It's been lovely. Emily Windsor's coming alongside. I don't know where Kevin Hand's gone. I think he's just disappeared off the face of the earth. Oh, he's there. He's doing an update. I forgot. I thought he was going to last 5 overs. He didn't quite. Here comes Wood. Bowls down the wicket. Hit high over mid-wicket. Won't be quite as big as Stirling. And in fact, he plugs in the outfield. It just makes it over the rope. Eskinazi moves on to 9 at 38 for 1. Emily Windsor alongside me. 5.
Good evening. What a ground.
We love it, don't we?
We love it. There's no better feeling than the home of cricket here. Sun's out. What an evening for T20 cricket. Packed crowd in as well.
Yeah. Of course, your 2 visits to here with the commentaries have both been 50 over finals. You've been very lucky.
Yeah, it sort of feels like that today. When I was walking in, I was like, what's the trophy on the line? And there isn't one. For Hampshire, it's their competition on the line.
Could be the wooden spoon for Hampshire. That's the only trophy they're facing in this competition at the moment. They have lots to do. No less than winning their last 4 group games. Otherwise, they are probably out of the competition. There is a scenario apparently where they can win 3 and win. There's a quick single up to mid-off. Vince throws it. Eskinazi is home, well backed up by Morris at short mid-wicket. 39 for 1. Dave Allen, Hampshire's historian, did send me a scenario where if such and such does this, then this and this, there was about 25 permutations. Then Hampshire could sneak through with 3 wins out of 4, but I think, to be fair, they need 4 out of 4, and even then they're not guaranteed. So every one of these is like a cup final, including today.
Yeah, and it seems like the players are up for it as well. You see a lot on social media from them before coming to Lord's, that energy. They obviously have that championship game, but slightly different team, and they seem up for it tonight.
Here's Wood to Malan, pulls that away, doesn't time it, it's fallen short at mid-on. No run there. He was trying to pull that away over mid-wicket. Bit of bounce there might have done for him. Come off the bottom of the bat in the air for a long time, but Vince couldn't come round quickly enough. 39 for 1, 5 done, 1 more of the power play. And Hampshire still waiting for Mr. Tabraya's Shamsi. Quite excited about watching him.
Yeah, it's not often you see a left-arm Chinaman, is it, as well, in elite level cricket, and it's not often you see it in sort of club cricket. I only know one who actually bowls left-arm Chinaman, one of our coaches, and he occasionally bowls it to you in the net, and it's the weirdest thing.
And it's a sort of different type of bowling that, you know, might just mean the difference between Hampshire not qualifying, and maybe he could win games on his own.
In comes Morris to Eskinazi, that's pushed into the offside, fielded at backward point by Northeast, no run.
Just love watching. I mean, I well, like you, I very rarely come across it. Very few around. You used to get a few in Australia bowling that sort of stuff. That seemed to be more common over there, but over here it's very, very rare. In fact, I'm thinking Jake Lintott, I think, that played at Dorset, played a T20 game or two for Hampshire, and he bowled that sort of stuff, didn't he?
Yeah, and it'd be interesting actually when he does come on how the Middlesex guy plays. We're talking about how rare it is. It's something they wouldn't have faced.
No.
As Morris comes in again, and that's down the leg side, turned away to fine leg. Abbott comes round, so it's just a single. Eskinazi moves to 11-40 for 1, Middlesex.
Joe on the tweets actually said amazing start by Hampshire because they had a wicket before the scheduled 6:30 start. Actually, Joe, it started at 6:15. Just got that start time wrong. Joe, you get very few things wrong. That's one of them.
Morris, ball in hand again. One of Hampshire's overseas, they now have 2. Man, we were just talking about Shamsi, looking forward to seeing him in action. James Vince throws in the ball as Morris comes in to the left-handed Malan. It's turned onto the onside, that's hit hard over mid-wicket, that's 4 runs. Malan, for me, here is a danger man. I've seen one innings of him on Sky, and I think that was against Surrey at the Oval. And God, did he hit the ball, and he played a fantastic innings there. He got 100, so this is a big wicket here for Hampshire. You don't want him to bat many more overs. He's on 23 of 15 deliveries, 44 for 1.
He's played some nice shots already, hasn't he? But I do think, and I'll say it again, I think this is a wicket for stroke players. It's coming on nicely, and there's a bit of bounce.
Morris again at the top of his mark. Response to Malan. This short delivery taken well by McManus. It's given a no ball. Morris doesn't look too pleased. I don't know about you. I don't think that was, but that was my opinion.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? I suppose the man at square, the umpire, has got a better view. We're almost straight down the line of the wicket. Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. I wouldn't like to have called that either way from here, but hey, listen, you know, we've all got an opinion. I respect yours, of course. I'm not sure. I'm sitting on the fence, actually.
That's a cop-out answer, that, Kev. You've got to make a call sometimes.
I'd be useless as an umpire, wouldn't I? I'll say, well, what do you think?
Ask the bowler. If you ask the bowler, it's out. If you ask the batter, it's not out. In comes Morris to Malan. Advances! And that is an outside edge, and that's him gone. McManus takes it behind the stumps. Morris jumps in the air to celebrate, and that's the wicket Hampshire needed. Malan's gone for 23. Caught behind off Lewis McManus.
I'll tell you what, I don't think there's going to be too many edges that will fall short here tonight. I know he gave that the kitchen sink, and edges like that do tend to carry even on the slowest of wickets, but that actually flew through to Lewis McManus. And again, I don't care how good the wicket is, a bit of bounce, a bit of pace. He's actually just decided to give that the kitchen sink no matter what, hasn't he? And that ball was short of a length, quick, actually quite a quick delivery. Yeah, I think in a way, the way he played it, was lucky to get an edge.
Yeah, I think exactly as you explained that. Did he need to do that? But in comes Eoin Morgan, another danger man, a World Cup winner here at Lord's. He know this ground and have very fond memories of it here. Not so long ago, lifting that World Cup trophy. So in he comes to the crease. Eoin Morgan, the England captain. And he comes in at number 4 here for Middlesex.
Got a reasonable reception there as well, didn't he?
Rightly so.
Yeah, obviously, a few people looked up for their gin and tonic and pins and said, oh, that's Eoin Morgan. Better give him a little...
You bring the bottles of champagne here, don't you?
Do you?
Pop the old...
Actually, my missus had a glass of champagne in her hand when I walked over to the bar. I said, are you on the champagne already? She said, yeah.
Good answer, that. I rate that. I like her already. Never met her, but I like her. Morris again from the pavilion end will be bowling to Eoin Morgan, the England captain, and that's turned into the offside. Will be no run, fielded by Chris Wood at extra cover. 46 for 2, Middlesex, 5.5 overs gone. So 1 ball left of this power play. It's quite an evenly matched power play here as it stands. There's obviously 1 ball remaining, but Hampshire picking up the 2 wickets. Middlesex not flying, but they're going at a reasonable rate. On a pitch like this, though, you'd perhaps say it is under par.
Yeah, I think the way they've been playing Middlesex, they'll be a bit disappointed.
Morris to Morgan for defence to finish the power play. So 46 for 2 then, 6 overs gone. And as we said, that's the power play gone. I think Hampshire will be very happy there.
Yeah, they certainly will. The way Middlesex have been playing this year, very good for Middlesex. Mark Mixner, hello Mark, at Sowter Sport. It's also ended to you. The last left-arm wrist spinner to play for Hampshire before Jake Lintott was Simon Catich. Yes, he was another one that bowled left-arm Chinaman. Thank you very much, Mark. And he says, note that the word Chinaman is now considered by some to be offensive. Risdon recently changed its designation from slow left-arm Chinaman to slow left-arm something or other, but a W, whatever the W is. Anyway, Mark, retweet me and let me know what that slow left-arm Chinaman to SLW is, because I don't know. Slow left-arm... Anyway, here's Liam Dawson into the attack from our commentary end. 46 for 2, Eskinazi 11, Morgan yet to get off the mark. Every face 2, it's going to be Eskinazi to face Dawson, who's not the only spinner in the Hampshire side now, with Shamsi in the side tonight. Forward, as I say, I can't wait to see him. That's turned away on the onside. Again, we see all field.
हेलो दोस्तों, स्वागत है
Dawson bowls, Eskinazi drives onto the onside. There'll only be a single there. The attack, Dave Gelling, thank you very much. Left arm wrist spinner, yep, we've got there. We're there.
From my end as well.
Yes, if it was wood.
Nope.
Never played at Lords before, Shamsi. Brought in for these final 4 T20 games. Adi Birrell, the Hampshire manager, knows him because he plays for the Pile Rocks T20 franchise, of which Adi Birrell is head coach there. Shamsi plays for that. Played in the World Cup, played 4 games in this year's World Cup, including 1 at the Aegeus Bowl. And if the name rings a bell when you were at the T20 game at the Aegeus Bowl a couple of years ago, England-South Africa, he played in that as well.
slow left arm wrist spinner.
You know, coming over the wicket to a right-hander, you've got to get a bat on it, haven't you? Otherwise,
I'd like to know what that was missing. That was one of those that you'd be reviewing if you were a captain,
you would.
wouldn't you?
DRS, that's out.
In comes Shammy to Morgan. He's heaved that again across the line. That's not missed his stumps by much, a bottom edge. And that's a dot ball after all that. Ian Holland there. Short fine leg does the fielding.
Could have had both batsmen out this over. I did say before the start of the game, at the start of the game, I think he is somebody that might just make the difference between Hampshire winning and losing the game. And it could have had both these batsmen out this over.
Two fantastic batsmen at the crease. Shamsi to Morgan, turn into the offside, just comes through for a quick single in defence there, Morgan. He will move on to 8, 59 for 2.
Neil Murray, I don't know if there's a live feed of this game. Is there a live feed? Of course it's on Sky, isn't it? That was Plumkev, he says. So is it not on Sky? Sorry. I thought it was for some reason, because TMS are here as well. At Stone Sport, he says that was Plumkev, pitched on middle and was smashing into leg. Is there a live feed? Let's go and have a look. Kevin.
Shamsi, and that's pulled away, and that's caught at backward point. He's tried to drive that, and he's finally taken the wicket, and he's done some sort of weird celebration here, Kev, that you just missed looking down. He got something out of his pocket and played it up and almost pointed to the skies. That was an interesting celebration, but that is Eskinazi gone for 16. Caught at point by Ian Holland.
Wow. I think Hampshire might just have pulled something out of the hat here. Yes, there is a live feed on the Middlesex County Cricket Club website. So Neil was obviously looking at that, and he agrees with us. That was planned.
Left foot hasn't gone a long way forward, so the ball hasn't really got a long way to travel. So I think every reason why that ball had a very good chance of hitting the stumps. And of course, again, every reason why the umpire might have thought, no, that's missing.
Good use of the angle there, Chris Wokes. I'd say it was an absolute howler of a decision. You can see why the umpire gave it not out. You can also see why Joe Root had a gut feel. You know what? I'm going to have a go. It's been pretty good with the reviews, Joe Root, today.
And once again, at your point, Nass, about how good Tim Payne looked. He looked organised and looked good, and once again, just gets 11. He just couldn't get a score. In that number 7 position, it's so important to get runs. And he does okay, as you say. He sort of seems to look really good, 15, 20, 25. Just doesn't go on. It just seems to find a way to get out, which is the disappointing thing for Australia and Tim Payne.
Driven away nicely, nice drive, square, and that'll be 4.
Yeah, width again. Labuschagne, even though he's in a bit of survival mode, he's still good enough to punish the bad ball. It was the width that was not much going for. It was a bit too full. It was just really the width allowed Labuschagne to throw everything at it. One ball left in the over. Labuschagne's got to try and find a single if he can.
In the air, but wide of Archer. Labuschagne thinks of 2. They come back for 2. The over 171 for 6. Plenty of cricket on at the moment. There's more blast cricket this evening. Sussex, who are top of the South Group. They play Essex, who are struggling towards the bottom. That's now via the red button. Sky Sports the Ashes. We'll be going to that game after this match concludes as well. Well, I think James Pattinson's going to be surrounded. Jofra Archer comes steaming in from that football stand end. Have a short leg, a couple of slips, a couple of gullies. Could argue about a leg gully, but it looks like we can leave that vacant. Seen from Australia, we saw it at Edgbaston, we saw it at Lords. They all bat down the order. They all give it a go. Pattinson can bat and he bats well, so can Cummins.
I think, a wicket that's a bit like a Hampshire wicket of 5 or 6 years ago when Hampshire had spinners in T20, and it's like, he would get something out of that.
So 71 for 3 then. Shami to Hafeez. Hafeez 2 not out. And that's turned into the offside. Think about a quick single. Rossouw does well there coming round. Dot ball to finish the 10th over. We're halfway then. Middlesex 71 for 3, and I think there's going to be a change in the commentary box.
Yeah, Emily Windsor is staying on. Oh, hello. Hello, you're switching me off already? I'm gone yet. Kevin Hand alongside him.
Liam Dawson still going to be into the attack. Going to be spin twins.
Hello, Willie.
Good evening.
Bit of impartiality coming back to the mic.
I feel like Kev's going to go and watch that LBW
I feel like he's going to be up all night pressing replay. It's out. It's still out, 6 a.m. in the morning. Here's a full toss to Morgan, driving down to long on. A single. Dawson left arm around from the nursery end. 71 for 3. Is this not your 5 overs to commentate? Or are you doing end to end, you two? I pitched the first 5 overs off, Jay, mate.
Oh, we've been doing end to end.
He got the end of the third and he got the end of the fourth and the fifth. So his left arm around, bowls, and on the back foot, that's cut away nicely by Hafeez. There wasn't much room, but he works it out to deep point for a single. Moves to 3. 73 for 3 here on BBC Radio London and BBC Radio Sowter. Sorry, what are you going to say? You were going back at him. Oh, has he left the box? You've given up now.
Yeah, he's gone to get cake. Just looking at your batting lineup here.
I thought you were going to say my cake consumption. It was very good, by the way. It was coffee cake.
I can't wait to see tomorrow.
So I highly recommend it when you're done at 15 overs. Here's Dawson. He bowls. Down the track comes Morgan, driving a single down to long on. 74 for 3.
Will there be any left after Kev's
What, the Middlesex batting lineup?
No, I just look at this batting lineup and I think it's ever so strong this year.
Well, it is. It's a little top heavy though. in the sense that Simpson at 6, then Roland-Jones, Helm, Sowter, Finn and Barber. That's a lot of all-rounders and not perhaps T20 all-rounders. As Dawson's in, bowls, and that's driven down the ground by Hafeez for a single to long off. Hafeez moves to 4, 75 for 3. So you're not wrong at all in that certainly the top 5. And when you think A.B. de Villiers will come back for the game next Thursday at the Aegeus Bowl, so the top 5 will be Stirling, Malan, de Villiers, Morgan, Hafeez. I mean, that's incredible. That's truly brilliant. Dawson bowls short, and that goes big. Is it big enough? No. Deep mid wicket comes around. Morgan's gone for 20 of 17 deliveries, and Middlesex are 75 for 4 in the 11th as Morgan holds out to mid wicket. He just got away with that one a few overs ago, didn't he? Just out of reach. This time it was just a little too short.
Yeah, that's good bowling from Liam Dawson. He always has that nagger picking up the important wicket. James Fuller, the man, taking the catch out there. Safe hands. He's always out on that boundary rope, and he wasn't dropping that one, and he certainly enjoyed that one. Big wicket for Hampshire. You'd think here Hampshire right on top at this stage.
That is a big wicket. And did you hear the cry of Hampshire that went up there? So there are a good number that have come up for this game. There was a real cry of chant of Hampshire that went around the ground there. Maybe that was just Kevin James on a loudspeaker. But there was. I've never heard that at Lord's in a 28,000 game before. The chant of the opposition team going up like that. But you could clearly hear them chanting Hampshire.
Yeah, I think there are a group of them sat sort of below us in these stands. See a bunch of yellow shirts as I was walking in. And why wouldn't you come to Lord's on a day like this?
Sure, and so many of them must have seen these televised games. 2 of them are televised, I think, of the 28,000 so far. They have been an incredible spectacle. They really have. I mean, this is high-end cricket as well, because Middlesex are a very, very good side, as you pointed out, with the batting line-up in particular. Here's Dawson, last ball of the over. Simpson joins Hafeez, the batsman cross, so it's Hafeez on strike, and he nudges a single off the back foot through square leg. He moves to 5, Middlesex is 76 for 4, he'll keep the strike. Simpson yet to face. Morgan was caught Fuller at deep mid-wicket off Dawson for 20, end of the 11th.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting passage of play here. As you talked about, you've got a lot of all-rounders now still to come, so actually it's important these two build a bit of a partnership.
What I was saying, because again, you're not wrong, but what I was saying was, come the 15th over, Middlesex don't have the kind of T20 all-rounders that you want coming in overs 15, 16, 17, so actually you really need somebody now, Hafeez and Simpson, to still be there. And even with Morgan, you're thinking, actually, you probably want Hafeez and Morgan still there at over 15 as well to start that charge, because it's an awful lot, I think, for Roland-Jones, Helm and Sowter to do themselves.
Here's Shami to Hafeez. This could be 2, but it isn't. Fuller out there at mid-wicket now, comes off the boundary quickly. One bounce into McManus, 76, 7 for 4. Hafeez moves to 6.
Mark from Madrid says, who needs promotion when Middlesex are going to win the T20? Happy Kev, but this time not Caribbean bounds. Who knows? When they won it in 2008 at the Aegeus Bowl, Middlesex were off to the Stamford Super Series in Antigua, which I luckily got on board with, and so did Mark Church. We were due to go as well, or I was due to go to the inaugural Champions League, but sadly it was cancelled.
Shami to Simpson, that's punched up to long off. He'll pick up a single, that's him off the mark. 78 for 4.
In tragic events in Mumbai, the terrorist attack saw the tournament cancelled. It did get going. In fact, I think Hampshire went to one of the Champions Leagues. I'm not sure if Kevin James did.
He's left.
I'd be surprised if he didn't, let's put it that way.
In comes Shami again. A new signing for Hampshire, bowls to Hafeez. There's an appeal for LBW, but that was going down the leg, in my opinion. Given not out.
Yeah, Rilee, or an attempted Rilee.
Last game he's commentating, he needs one of those outfits.
Replayed it again afterwards.
78 for 4 then, Middlesex. Shami bowls to Hafeez again, this time turns to backward point. Rossouw does the fielding, another dot ball.
Good over, and I think it puts the pressure on the batsman at the back end of the over as it usually would, because of the wicket in the last over of Morgan. Usually at this stage you're thinking, oh, the batsman needs a boundary here, but I think probably you can afford a quieter over.
In comes Shami to Hafeez, this time turned away. That's a fantastic shot, manipulating the field. Cover's not coming round to stop that. That's 4 runs. And there is that boundary you talked about. He moves to 10, 82 for 4 now, Middlesex.
But that was nice. Really well played, nicely played. I mean, you'd almost say proper cricket shot. Obviously we're playing T20, so there's an element of risk about it, but you know, it was an expansive shot, but a proper cricket shot.
And the best part about that for me as well, it was there to be hit through the offside. He could have just nailed it straight to cover, but he actually played it later and found that gap, which enabled him to get the boundary as Shami bowls. And this time punches to extra cover. There's the feed. Dot ball to finish the over, 82 for 4, and that 8 overs to come.
Pretty close, I think, to that 28,000 tonight. I think it'll be the lowest of the 4 games so far. But there's still plenty in to really give you the feel of what a packed house for a T20 at Lord's feels like. And it's a tremendous evening, it really is. I hope, we alluded to it earlier, the scheduling next year.
Nowhere near as high. So you can
see fixture list across the country with the championship played Sunday morning and the blast spread throughout May and June in particular. I hope that they manage to maintain the crowds here, but boy oh boy, they're going to have to work hard to do so. It would be a real shame if the full houses are lost, because when these evenings go, especially when these games are tight, it's a fabulous atmosphere. Here's Dawson, it's the start of the 13th. Left arm around, he bowls to Simpson and drive to long on. Takes him.
Here you don't have to bowl as fast, you can bowl within
4. It's steady, but I think Middlesex needs 160 really on the way the Lord's pitch has been playing this year. Anything less than that, and although that's probably more in keeping with regular Lord's T20 scores, I do think it'll be a little light, which is perhaps what Eoin Morgan felt a couple of overs back as well. Dawson's around the wicket, bowls. That's a lovely cut by Hafeez, and it's well fielded at backward points by Wood, low to his left. It looked as though he'd bisected the tightly nipped hair in there at backward points and short third man, with just that little bit of movement and a late cut, much as you'd described in the previous over as well. But really good fielding by Wood, and it's a dot ball. Dawson in again, bowls, a little bit fuller. There's a lovely bit of drift on that. Through it goes to the gloves of the keeper, beating Hafeez. 83 for 4 it remains.
Really good delivery from Dawson. I think what Hampshire have done well throughout this Middlesex innings so far is they picked up wickets at important times. So just as the partnership looks to be building and they're going on, they've again picked up another wicket, which just every wicket in T20 just stems that run flow.
Dawson, 3.3 bowls, he's in, and on the back foot, this is punched only as far as cover, not ball. Hafeez can't get it away this over. He'll be a little bit of it now, in terms of we talked about that boundary that he got at the end, towards the end of Shamsi's last over. He'll be feeling it now for Dawson as well, but he'll know he's a key wicket here as well if Middlesex are to get up around 150, 160. Dawson in, bowls, oh, slog sweep, and that must have shaved, well, been so close to off stump.
Well, Dawson started celebrating there, didn't he? He thought that bowled him. But this has been a fantastic over from Dawson. 1 ball remains in it.
Did the slope save the Hafeez there? Did it just turn enough? The slow left arm spinner to actually save the right-handed bat. It was a real attempt at a big pick up across the line. And on this one he waits, dabs just in front of point. Oh, and he forces the misfield to put the pressure on Wood. They're going to come back for 2. But that could easily have been a run out as well, and it might be 3. There's an overthrow. Yep, throws the non-striker's end. And that's sloppy from Hampshire, because that was a really good over from Dawson, which now reads 1 for 21 off 4. It could easily have read 1 for 18 off 4 with a run out, because I reckon if Wood had picked up cleanly and thrown, and a direct hit, it would have gone. End of the over, 86 for 86 for 4. Middlesex at the end of the 13th. BBC Radio London and BBC Radio Sowter together tonight in the Vitality Blast with Kevin James, myself, Kevin Hand, and Emily Winter.
Dawson's furious there, he's not afraid to show it as well, and rightly so. That really was sloppy.
Sloppy all round, wasn't it?
Chris Wood left-handed, so he was going to his right, so he did have to pick. In this day and age, the fielding's incredible. You'd expect to see that. Shami coming out of the attack.
I suppose Dawson actually should have been backing up at the non-striker's end. Or should have been back behind stumps, is what I was trying to say, at the non-striker's end, the bowler. But maybe he was so angry with the first one getting away for 2 that he forgot to get back himself to back up. And that's when they got the 3rd with the overthrow.
Hope that doesn't cost Hampshire. Morris then, with the ball in hand again from that pavilion end. He'll be bowling to Hafeez, who obviously got on strike as well because of that. Still sloppy bit of fielding from Hampshire. In comes Morris then. Bowls to Hafeez. That's turned away onto the onside. That'll be no run. Mid-wicket charge at the bowler's end there as well. That's well backed up by Liam Dawson at mid-wicket. Ian Holland moving the throw. 86 for 4 Middlesex. 7 overs. Just under 7 overs remain. The lights already on here. Probably because of that shadow of the sun. Here comes Morris again to Hafeez, and that's hitting on the pad. Will be no run. Drops at his feet. Good bowling again from Morris. Another dot ball. Middlesex need to look to rotate the strike a little better here.
Yeah, I mean, look, that 160 score, the way these last few overs have gone, is coming down, isn't it? But who knows? I mean, the last 3 overs of the T20, if the batsman's in, it really can be anything, can't it? T20 nowadays, anything seems possible.
Especially with that short boundary as well, to our right. Certainly look to target that as Morris into Hafeez. That's turned at his feet. They come through for a quick single and we'll get through comfortably. McManus comes round with gloves on. Throws the ball back to the skipper, James Vince. Hafeez moves to 14, 87 for 4 Middlesex. The run rate as well, currently at 6.4.
Yeah,
is adjusted at the end of 5 days.
Who comes next? But then, yeah, you can't really look for perfection, can you? You've got a top 5 like Middlesex have, and will have certainly David Villiers next week. John Simpson, fine wicket keeper. Perhaps you break it up a little bit and John Simpson goes up to 3.
In comes Morris for Simpson, the left-hander turned away down to third man. Abbott is down there, he comes around and it's just single. Simpson moves to 388 for 4.
Which drops somebody down 1, but just gives that number 3 the real freedom to come in and go hard at it. Where I thought actually Simpson played that role pretty well at the end of last season in the T20. And again, most of that is born out of the fact that Middlesex have a fabulous 5-man bowling attack and have had to this point. They've got Barber in for this one. Whoever they go with, though, they don't really have that big hitting batting all-rounder.
Morris to Hafeez, pulled away onto the onside. That's gone just in front of square. Fuller does the fielding out there, just a single.
Other than Roland-Jones. But Roland-Jones doesn't have a huge history of it in the T20, I don't recall. Special. It's usually in the Championship and, you know, bludgeoning the ball to all parts rather than, as strange as it sounds, the finesse that you sometimes need in the T20. That little bit of cleverness, working the field, working the crease and finding out your angles, because tactics are so key in T20 now.
Morris, Simpson, that's pulled, that's gone straight up in the air. Mid-off comes round, but it's just carried over him. James Vince there. They come through for a couple. Simpson moves to 5, and that will be 91 for 4, and that 14 overs gone.
I mean, there was a time when there was a time when T20 was just bludgeoning it everywhere, wasn't it? From top to bottom. You think back to Middlesex in 2008 when they won it, Tyrone Henderson coming in at 3. Big, broad-shouldered South African, giant of a man, clubbing the ball to all pass. Shah and Morgan as well. It was about, you know, those big pickups. It does T20, hasn't it? So the tactics for the bowlers now, the field placing.
I think you look at the Hampshire lineup, you're talking about that T20 player. James Fuller was signed particularly for that, and I've seen 2 fantastic innings. One was here actually in the 50-over final, but actually in T20 he played a fantastic knock down to Somerset. Really took to the bowlers and was clearing the ropes every ball.
It is Wood. This ball's eased to backward point for no run. Hafeez remains on 15 now from 23. Starting to eat up the balls a little bit, which means they need their overseas to come off now, i.e. he's had a look at it. 15th over, I think now is the time that he has to try and launch. Having taken this number, Woods. From the nursery end, bowls left arm, and this ball's hooked away out to deep mid-wicket for a single. Hafeez moves to 16 from 24, 92 for 4. Just backing up that Roland-Jones point, first class average of the bat of 22, list A average of the bat with 22, T20 average of 17. That's probably, everybody's got a shrinking average, I'd imagine. But yet score of 50 in T20, high score of 40, 28 innings at 31 years of age. So he hasn't been, as much. I mean, he's had 47 innings in List A, for example, and nowadays certainly you play a lot more. Simpson for a single to deep square. He moves to 6 from 5. Hafeez is asking where's the call for the second, but Simpson was never interested in anything other than 1 there. 93 for 4.
Where's their boundary option here? Do they need to? So I feel like they have to make use of the bowler bowling at this level, having that short boundary on the leg side now for a right hand.
Yeah.
Do they just say, okay, I'm going to take that on?
Hafeez ball is chopped again to short third man for a single. He moves to 17, 94 for 4. And not knowing his game, as well as perhaps some of the other Middlesex batsmen out there, those two fielders up there seem to have almost distracted him. Short third man and backward point. It seems ball after ball, he's trying to bisect them. Run it fine to the short third man, get it in between the two. With deep cover back, there's no point trying to get it in front of the backward point, but perhaps he's been a little bit too preoccupied with that. As Simpson clubs down the ground, long on comes around. Oh, it bounces out of the hands. Down below as Morris. In this day and age of T20, he'll have felt himself he should have hung on to it. Had he have hung on to it, we'd still have said that was a great catch.
That would have been a hell of a catch. He holds his hand up to the bowler, but I'm thinking there as well. He saved it 4, really. He covered a lot of ground. He's sort of at a wide long on, but he did the hard work, but it was low, wasn't it?
He got both hands though, didn't he? Bucket, into the bucket, bounced out. Here's Wood bowls, and Simpson might give him another chance. No, he's checked that drag into the 7, 97 for 4. It's the end of the 15th. Hafeez has 17. Emily Winter, thank you very much. Kevin James is going to sit back down alongside myself. Kevin Hand here on BBC Radio London and BBC Radio Solent, live at Lord's for the T20 Blast. 97. I mean, if Middlesex go at 10 and over from here, they'll feel okay. 150 as a target, it's not a disaster. But I get a feeling they need to be a little bit wary here, because equally they could go in a heap and all of a sudden it's only a 125, 130 chase for Hampshire. 97 for 4. Welcome back, Kevin James.
Well, fortunately from Hampshire point of view, I don't think this innings has really taken off at all, has it?
No.
It hasn't really got going. It hasn't got out of second gear, which I guess Middlesex will be disappointed about because they've enjoyed a decent competition. Hampshire will be mightily pleased about it. Shamsi from the pavilion end. He's bowled all his overs from there so far. He bowls to the left-hander, John Simpson. Simpson hits that in the air up towards mid-off. 1 bounce, 2 bounces, fielded just in front of the pavilion. Single taken, 98 for 4. We're starting the 16th over here, so we have just under 4 overs left of this Middlesex innings. Maybe something might happen for the home side here between now and the end of their innings. There's never really been any fireworks. And I'm looking around the crowd. It's increased while this first innings has been going on. I'm looking around the first couple of tiers of the ground, and there's hardly a seat to be seen. Here's Shamsi bowls, and that's pulled away on the onside by Hafeez. Doesn't really time it. It's along the ground. Fielded at deep mid-wicket. Total moves on to 98 for 4.
Yeah,
good crowd.
Yeah, it is. I think this will be the lowest of the 4 so far.
Really?
But to be honest, that's saying something, isn't it? I mean, look at Lord's tonight. It's a brilliant. I mean, you can hear it in the effects mic.
Great, isn't it?
The buzz is phenomenal.
100 what 100?
Well, there's a big threat to these full houses that Middlesex have had this year. Yeah. When we go to Friday nights in May and June.
It's going round the wicket here, Shamsi, outside the stump, but that's pulled away wide and mid-on. It's in the air, but safe, and it's pulled up just inside the rope. They'll come back for 2. Throw goes in at Shamsi's end.
The one thing I'd say about the score tonight is these do feel like pretty big boundaries this evening, don't they?
Not so much up the hill.
No.
I mean, that's not even 50 yards, is it?
Is that
50
55
yards?
maybe.
Do you reckon that far?
Maybe.
Okay.
Well, we've got 30, double. Yeah, okay, maybe not. But then equally,
everywhere else,
bowlers will be defending that well, haven't they?
Shamsi comes in, he gives himself some room there, Simpson. Steers that up to mid-on along the ground. There'll only be a single there. 101 for 4 here, Middlesex. 102 for 4, I tell a lie. Simpson is 13, Hafeez is 18. Hafeez has really gone after anything. 18 of 26, it's been quite measured, hasn't it, really? He's almost played it like a proper T20 rather than outrageous T20. He just stops in his action there. He's down the leg side. It's going to be called a wide as if he tries to pull that away. Haven't seen that before from Shamsi. Mind you, I haven't seen a lot before from him, other than a little video about 2 hours ago and 3.3 overs. But he actually bowled and then stopped and then bowled.
Same for me with Hafeez.
So, well, there you go. I haven't seen a lot of Hafeez, if I'm honest. It's a quiet 18, isn't it, in T20 terms? Although, there he goes. Over mid-wicket. That's going for 6. I shouldn't have said anything. I think I've kick-started him into life. 3 rows back.
2 spike marks.
To be fair to you, just before that, my next comment was going to be pressure's building on Hafeez here. The strike rate was starting to look a problem because if he gets out that ball, it's awkward. But that's T20 cricket, isn't it? I mean, look, it's sport in general, the fine margins.
Good shot. Big boundary side away to our left down the hill. Here comes Shamsi again from the pavilion end. There's another shot, but along the ground this time on the leg side. Be fielded by Morris. Deep backwards, thing gone. 110 for 4. Hafeez moves on to 25 or 28.
And Shamsi ends with 1 for 32 from his 4.
I'm just watching the big screen because Chris Temple, who does a lot of these games and more,
needs to be a bit
T20. He doesn't like doing the crowd stuff, and yet he's having to do it here. So I know how much he's not enjoying it.
Yeah, look at that face.
What a smile that was.
Get a picture of that.
I need to text him.
I did tell him he's been teased mercilessly tonight. He said, "What, again?" I said, "Well, it is J-Mo on there with me, isn't it? So you're not going to get away without a mention tonight." Chris Temple, who's been a familiar voice to cricket listeners on BBC Radio Solent and in the joint commentaries of BBC Radio London for many years. And still commentating down at Solent, but only on the football nowadays.
Bournemouth football, yeah.
110 for 4. 4 overs to go. Hafeez has strike on 25 from 28. A strike rate that looks a lot better now after that 6. Here is Kyle Abbott. Change of ends, 1 for 14 from 2. He's right arm over from the nursery, and this could be the end of Hafeez. It falls short of third man. It was an adjustment from Hafeez, who went outside of the off stump. Abbott sent it that much wider. Hafeez probably could have left it alone in the end. I think it would have been outside the tram lines, but he did look to uppercut it, and fortunately didn't hit it too far down to third man and a single, well short of the fielder as it bounces. 26 from 29 for Hafeez now. Simpson 13 from 10. Abbott about to set off again, 111 for 4.
Sorry, I didn't see the full passage of play there because I was texting Chris Temple saying, lovely smile with the crowd there on the big screen.
Abbott bowls. This ball's pulled away into the onside for a single, and Simpson moves to 14, 112 for 4. Well, that was, of course, what I was referring to when I said Chris Temple on the big screen. It needs to be the big screen. It was the big smile that I was referring to.
It was huge, wasn't it? It was lovely, and it didn't look false at all.
Oh, there was a great one here in the last match.
Was it?
Where he was stood in front of the crowd like that, but he was actually in the crowd.
Yeah.
And a fella appeared behind him with 2 pints of beer, and he ducked. Here's a bump ball hit back over the head of Abbott for a single. Mid-off comes around. Hafeez moves to 27. All of a sudden, these two, and to be honest, we all thought it as well. He put the 2 beers up above Chris Temple's head like this, basically to say hello, everybody. But it looked as though he was going to tip the 2 of them onto Chris, and all of a sudden he ducks, which just was hilarious. He started to duck as the camera cut away. 113 for 4. Hafeez 27. Simpson 14, he's on strike, the left-hander. 11 balls faced, 3 balls left to the 17th here at Lords as Abbott is in, bowls onto the legs, and that's clipped away straight to the deep backward square leg for a single. I mean, look, that's a huge boundary out there tonight, isn't it? And I think Hampshire have defended the short boundary very well, and I think that's going to be key for Middlesex tonight with the ball. They've got to get it right. And I look to the youngster who comes in, Tom Barber, former Hampshire bowler. I think this is a really big night for him. It's first appearance of the season for Barber. I don't think he played a one-day cup game. I'll check that back, but I'm pretty sure he didn't appear in the one-day cup.
Played against us a couple of years ago here.
He did, yeah. Bowled well actually that night. Abbott's in, bowls, and that's slapped over extra cover for 4 by Hafeez. That's a lovely shot. Abbott really, I'm not going to say put it into the slot, but it was a length ball just outside off stump with mid-off and cover up.
Hafeez is just starting to get going now. It's almost as if he's just taken a few balls just to get the pace, the line, the bounce, size up 1 or 2 of the bowling, and it's almost as if this is a plan. If he was still there with 4 overs to go, then he was going to suddenly up it, and he has.
long off has gone back as a result, and up comes deep backward square leg. So long off and long on back. This should be up around the toes as Abbott's in, bowls, block hole delivery just outside the off stump. It's dug out by Hafeez for a single back at a point. He moves to 32 from 32, 119 for 4, and 3 overs to go here on BBC Radio London and BBC Radio Solent with Emily Windsor, myself, Kevin Hand, and Kevin James.
Yeah, I think Hampshire will be happy. 3 overs to go. Okay, a couple of big overs, and all of a sudden the total looks as though it's going to be bigger than it was. But I think if Hampshire can just keep things under control, by and large, Middlesex do have wickets in hand, so they can afford to just try one or two things, chance their arm. But I think Hampshire will feel that this is, so far has been a pretty good job. Done a good job, and I think they've just been given a lift. Just a new bowler, not being a massive name internationally, but I just think somebody else coming into the squad. And as I say, he gave me a lift just watching him this afternoon, bowling on the side of the square. You think, oh, this is a bit different.
Yeah.
Hampshire needs something a bit different if they're going to win 4 out of 4. And I think the players will have felt that as well. Just gives them something, because Hampshire haven't been very good in this. There's Wood round the wicket. That's it's a player missed outside the leg stump. He probably got an edge actually over the fingertips of Lewis McManus down towards third man. I think that's what made the ball bounce a little bit more than it would have otherwise done. A huge heave on the leg side. Thank you, Kevin. Huge heave on the leg side from Hafeez to a leg ball.
Yeah, I didn't detect it at first myself. It was the bowler's reaction.
Yeah.
I didn't know whether it had just climbed a bit, but the bowler's reaction was a little skip, and obviously you'd have been following the ball. I just thought the bowler who skipped at the end of it and was thinking, how's he got away with that?
Hardly got anything on it, but he got enough of an edge just to take it upon the or above the grasps of Lewis McManus. He's on 34 now. Here's Wood. Oh, he's bowled! Yorker, he's trying to give himself too much room, steering it on the offside. Wood celebrates, punches the air. Hafeez goes to 34, 121 for 5.
Massive wicket for Hampshire. Hafeez falling from 34 from his 34th delivery. So a strike rate of 100 is not quite what you want in those middle overs. However, when you look at the innings as a whole, he's comfortably the highest scorer. 23 from Malan at the top next, and then 20 from Morgan. So 34 from Hafeez in that sense is crucial. It leaves a lot of work to do here though, and they need to do it in a fair lick as well. So the strike rate from here for Toby Roland-Jones coming out, and John Simpson needs to be big. That though goes back to what I was talking about, I think, when you sat down. That opens up the risk that all of a sudden a couple of wickets go bang bang now. Middlesex all of a sudden 125 for 7 or 125 for 6, and especially if Simpson's the man out, things really start to slow down into the final few overs, and you're almost thinking Helm, Sowter, Finn and Barber, you've got to be careful, Middlesex. So Hafeez, I think, first appearance for Middlesex, I think he's done okay there, 33 from 34, but it does just mean now that somebody's really got to up this strike rate for Middlesex.
Now listen, if Middlesex get 140, 150 and Hampshire finish with 130, you'll look back and you'll say that was the right innings to play. But at the moment, you'd say, I'm not so sure. New batsman Roland-Jones facing Wood, staying round the wicket. Roland-Jones pulls that short delivery out in the air along the onside. 2 bounces to deep mid-wicket. He's off the mark straight away.
One thing I think we can really confidently say at this stage is the game probably is going to hinge on how well Middlesex defend that short boundary. So I think Hampshire, by whatever means they've used, have defended it really well, because Middlesex have not been able to exploit that short boundary, and this is their home ground. They know that is a reasonable pickup into the onside.
I can think of one shot from Paul Stirling early on, deep mid-wicket. I think I'm right in saying Eoin Morgan, left-hander, got one up the hill somewhere along the line, but apart from that I'm struggling to think of many big hits on that short boundary side. Stirling hit 1, Morgan hit 2, Hafeez hit 1, 6s in total. Let's turn down towards fine leg.
Talking
third man, sorry, left hand.
Was talking to, was that a no ball signal as well, or was the umpire just counting deliveries? Is that scoreboard going to jump? No, it's not, just a single. Umpire Bainton was obviously just stretching out his arm a little bit, rotating the shoulder maybe. A little bit of Pilates, but on striker's head for the umpire.
So 123 for 5. Here's Wood again round the wickets, and Roland-Jones just steers that into the gap square on the cover side of the field. 124 for 5.
Yeah, we talked earlier about it. She was saying this is a fantastic batting lineup for Middlesex, and it is a fantastic top 6, and Roland-Jones is an outstanding number 7. But I was just saying, in this day and age T20, you kind of think of a couple of all-rounders in there usually, who are able to club it. Now Sowter can get on with it for sure.
Woods over the wicket to Simpson. Simpson drives that full-length delivery up to mid-off. There'll only be a single there. Should only be a single.
I think this is a wonderful Middlesex side at the moment, and that's shown out in the tables. But if there is one area where it is slightly problematic for them, I think it's at this area now, i.e. what's to come at 5 down. I think a lot of good T20 sides probably go a lot deeper with big hitters down the order, and well, let's see how these guys go. I think they'd be wary at this point of going.
Well, they've got a lot to do. I mean, I'm just looking at that partnership between Hafeez and Simpson. 46 runs in 7 overs, from overs 11 to 18. That's not taking the game away from the opposition.
But I think that was also wary of the lower order being too exposed in the back 5. But equally, there's a lot of sides that 5 down at this point wouldn't really bother them. A few overs out. Here's a short one first up to Simpson from Abbott. I thought he was going to hole out to deep square. He wasn't. It's a single. And the big boundary out there probably saved Simpson on this occasion, actually, because had that boundary open been 10 yards further in, so with the fielder, and I think Simpson would have gone 126.
I think you're right. I think at this stage, this sorts out the teams with no depth in their batting from the teams that have depth in their batting. Because they'll still go hard. Teams with depth in their batting would still go hard. Yeah, and Middlesex, I think, were really wary after the fall of Morgan. Now, Hafeez is new to the side, so he'd have had to work with what he knows, which is limited. Here is Abbott, bowls, and that's driven wide of mid-off. There's a very wide, deep extra cover down there, isn't there? Like that? Yeah. Like that position. That's not a swan you see too often. I must admit, it went past Vince's left hand at mid-off, and I thought that could be 4, and yet Morris is only just over his left shoulder.
Yeah, it's unusual, that. Is that, again, part of the ploys that they've used tonight in terms of that short offside boundary, that Abbott knows where he's putting this ball outside of the off stump, so they wanted that extra protection at deep extra cover. As this ball short goes up in the air from Simpson. If this goes for 6, it's massive. It's not going to go all the way, though, and it's taken at deep square. Simpson goes for 18, and Roland-Jones is remonstrating with Bainton at square leg. What for, though? Saying that the bounce was too short, and Simpson has had to hook that from too high above his head. 127 for 6 it is, though. Dawson with the catch at deep square, and Abbott has a second wicket, 2 for 25. So Middlesex 6 down in the 19, Simpson out for 18.
Well, I tell you what, he was almost off the ground with both feet as he tried to smash that away on the leg side. He certainly looked high.
And hitting above his head.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a point.
I mean, Roland-Jones immediately got to the non-striker's end and turned to umpire Bainton and said, how is that not a no ball? 127 for 6. And, well, here we go now. This is it. I mean, look, the deliveries are there. They've just got to start swinging big. Roland-Jones, Helm, Sowter, they're the 3 that really are going to have to do it. Finn and Barber to come. But again, I think this is why Middlesex went quite slowly through overs 11 to 14, 11 to 15. They were just wary of getting this level of the depth of batting exposed too early.
I think Hampshire asked questions here.
Abbott, 3.3 bowls. He's in now from the nursery end, and this goes big down the ground. Has he got enough for it, Roland-Jones? No, he hasn't. And Abbott's on a hat-trick. Roland-Jones has gone for 3. Long on with the catch charging in, and 127 for 7 is the score as the catch is taken down below us by Rilee Rossouw. And the Hampshire fans are in good voice down below as well, as that hubbub around Lords tonight has just settled slightly, hasn't it? Which goes to show the impression that we've had over the years, the people at Lords not watching the game, probably it's more about not watching the Middlesex performance, because tonight they have slowed down a bit again, haven't they? The crowd was up for it earlier, but as this innings has disintegrated, but it has been slowing dramatically. The brake's been put on by Hampshire, and you can feel that in the crowd as well. 127 for 7 in the 19th over here at Lords.
One thing for sure here is there are big boundaries, as we've mentioned. Maybe not quite so much up the hill, but that's only one side. Everywhere else, straight is big, down the hill is big. If you hit the ball in the air, and I've said this many times, and Hampshire have been so guilty this is scary, you are struggling, because if you don't time it, the ball's hanging in the air, allowing fielders to come round and catch the ball in a decent position. For me, I'm not sure Middlesex have kept the ball on the ground enough.
Abbott's 2 balls left from the 19th over. A swing and a miss from Helm. Through it goes to the keeper, who's looking to drive again. There's that very straight extra cover down below us. So the field is third man, deep cover, deep extra cover, and a mid-off. I guess it's that big boundary as well, so downhill as well. They've got so much room to cover out there, but again, I think that's in part that Abbott is being careful not to go too straight here and expose that onside where he's got short fine leg and square leg inside the circle, deep in wicket and long on back. He comes in now, last ball of his night, 3 for 25. He bowls right into the block hole, dug out by Helm, and a wide Yorker works again for Abbott. Dot ball, 127 for 7, 6 deliveries to go, and well, we said there was the danger that they could go in a heap at 125, didn't we? And 130, they're 127 for 7 going into the final over.
Yeah, 136 here, Middlesex made 2 years ago. It looks like it's going to be a similar score, doesn't it? Hampshire winning that game, but...
By how many wickets, Shoma?
Well, only by the 6, but, you know, close. I'll make you feel better, it was close.
I mean, one of the things we talked about tonight, Dan Norcross is here for 5 Live Sports Extra next door. One of the things that we said to him was what will be really interesting to see tonight is how Middlesex go without Majid. He will usually bowl 3 overs in the power play. So to not have him tonight is huge. And what you'd also say with that is let's see how Barber goes on his debut for the season. Having been renowned as a little bit too expensive, even though he's lightning pace.
Yeah. Most comfortably the most economical of all your bowlers, less than 7. Everybody else 8 and above. So here's the last over bowled by Chris Morris from the pavilion end. Comes in and bowls to Nathan Sowter. Sowter gets the legs, ball cuts it onto the stumps, and that is another wicket. 127 for 8. That's 3 wickets to the fallen with the score on 127.
I wish I wasn't right, but I was. You know, and look, it's not a huge issue, but it is the issue of this side. No side's perfect. No side's got every base covered. Middlesex have a fabulous top 6. They all chipped in tonight, but nobody went big enough. It's as simple as that. Look, 10 for Stirling, 23 Malan, 16 Eskinazi, 20 Morgan, 34 Hafeez. One of those needed to be a big 50 at very minimum. And at this stage, their Middlesex are 167 for 8. The top 6 didn't come off. When they don't, they know that there's a bottom 5 which are good, but perhaps this isn't their best suit, even though they're good batsmen. They're more list A and championship batsmen.
Yeah.
So, look, Sowter can undoubtedly score runs in T20. He's got a way of manufacturing runs, scoring in strange areas. Roland-Jones, again, we know can be a really big hitter of the ball, but you've got 5 balls left, and Finn on strike with Barber to come and Helm on 0 for 2 at the non-striker. It's just exposed a little bit the Middlesex weakness tonight, but again, I don't think it's a huge problem, but in this game it is.
Yeah, it's Morris then to Finn. Oh, he's slashing it away, misses it, goes past the off stump through to Lewis McManus. Just to smack that away over mid-wicket. It's ambitious for a number 10. Well, it's number 11 on the scorecard, but it's coming in at number 10. Decent pace from Morris. You're right. It's. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you play 14 group matches. You don't play all the same 14 in the same way. It's how you win the close games that count. That's what makes you qualify. Hampshire haven't won the close games this year. Middlesex have. There's Morris again. He's gone for the Yorker. Misses the leg stump, but Finn is outside leg stump, so that'll be a dot ball. There's 4 balls left of the Middlesex innings. And what Hampshire have been able to do is, really throughout the innings, but certainly in these later stages, not let Middlesex get away from them, not let Middlesex have a good 2 or 3 overs where you thought, oh, if only it wouldn't have been quite so bad at the end, we wouldn't have been chasing quite so many. If anything, Middlesex have almost come to a standstill.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the Hampshire bowlers and thinking, who can they go after? Who's going to be the one they're going to try and target? But really, it was about the Middlesex inadequacies in this innings.
Yeah. That's swung away on the leg side, but not timed by Finn. He'll get a single. 128 for 8. Already bowled out. Liam Dawson, 4 overs, 1 for 21. Shamsi, 4 overs, 1 for 32 on his Hampshire debut. Chris Wood, 4 overs, 1 for 28. Abbott, 4 overs, 3 for 25. And Chris Morris is 2 balls after completing his 4 overs. He has 2 for 22. Good all-round collective bowling from the Hampshire side tonight. Middlesex have struggled to break free. 2 balls left then as Finn comes in, as Morris comes into Helm. He gives himself some room and he almost chops onto his stump. He's come back, he's kicked it onto the stumps, Morris, and he's out, he's out, run out. Well, Helm wasn't quite sure what to do then. In the end, he sort of ran back apologetically, really, and didn't get his bat down in time. Morris was quicker, kicked the ball onto the stumps and he'd gone. 4 wickets have fallen in the space of 1 run.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was everything that we saw coming, wasn't it? It was the danger of what this lower order, the balance of this Middlesex side means. And again, I think that's why Hafeez's strike rate, 34 from 34, 100 strike rate. Whether he was teed up, whether he was told by John Simpson, look, we need to bat out a bit of time here, because you could be in danger of not batting out your overs. Well, there's 1 ball and 1 wicket left, and it's on Barber on strike.
I tell you what, it's a horrible end to the innings, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is horrible. If this is a close game, Middlesex will look at these last couple of overs and say, woof, well, that's where we lost it. Apart from maybe looking at 1 or 2 other areas. I think you're right. I think if Hafeez had known what was coming, I think he would have waited to have tried to cut loose for another 2 or 3 overs. Morris comes in from that pavilion end then, bowls to Tom Barber, formerly of Hampshire. Gives a toss, he's bowled! Yorker hits the base of the middle stump. He's gone first ball. 128 all out Middlesex with a ball to spare, and Hampshire have claimed 5 wickets for 1 run.
Yeah, and it wasn't anything we didn't see coming, was it? I think I said Middlesex could go in a heap here between 125 and 130, and that was when Middlesex were 5 down. So nothing particularly unexpected about that, but obviously there's a huge amount of pressure now on the Middlesex bowling lineup, because the batting lineup all had cameos but nobody fired, and that's the story of the Middlesex innings, really, as simple as that. Then when you get down to those lower order batsmen, 7 down to 11, it's just not of the same kind of big hitting T20 batting that perhaps you're accustomed to with those all-rounders.
Sure.
So yeah, let's see how the bowlers go.